Yeah, I wanted to make a documentary about graphic design and about typography. I've just been a fan of graphic design and have used it for all the different projects that I've done ever since I bought a Macintosh back in like 1987. So I've always been sort of a dilettante graphic designer, but never really a professional. But I used graphic design and type for if I was working at a record label, making, designing record covers or posters or whatever. So always kind of in a non-professional sort of way. I didn't have the patience to do an all-encompassing documentary about all of type design, the history of it, and all the people involved. I thought that would be a great project and one that I'd be interested in seeing, but I didn't want to spend 5, 6, 7 years researching and traveling and shooting. It was too big of a film. I thought if I focused on one typeface, it'd be a lot easier. And of course, the one you have to focus on is Helvetica. In terms of the past 50 years of graphic design, its kind of rise and fall and rise again has paralleled sort of the trends in graphic design, but also you look at the technology and how the technology for type and graphic design has changed in that period too. So for me, it was a structure. It was like a construct to be able to talk to a lot of interesting graphic designers and type designers about what they do, and of course about Helvetica and how it kind of fits in. So that was the original idea behind the film. Of course, when you start interviewing people, it takes a completely different direction because everyone has their own ideas, and all the people that are in the film are really interesting and smart and funny, and they kind of took over the film. They've hijacked it basically. I hadn't met anyone in the film before I started the project, so I just cold called these people via email and did kind of tried to describe the scope of what I was going for in the film to them. And I think that most of the designers were just excited that somebody was doing a documentary about what they do. I think they were a little bit amused that it was about Helvetica. Everyone said yes, almost. I think the only people that said no were Susanna Licco and Rudy Vanderlands of Emigre, not because they didn't want to be in the project, they totally backed it, but they didn't want to be in the spotlight, they didn't want to be on camera, which I can totally respect. Some people just don't like to be interviewed. I mean, I kind of had an idea what I thought everyone was going to say about Helvetica and about type and about modernism and the past 50 years, but once I got there, of course, it was completely different. Which sent the film off in a lot of different directions too. Originally, I wasn't really concentrating as much on the kind of modernism versus postmodernism, debate, but in the interviews, that's something that came out. Everybody had an opinion, or everybody really fell on one side or the other. So in the film, that kind of creates a natural sort of narrative when you have people who have really opposing philosophies. They're doing the same thing, they're doing graphic design, but they're coming at it from kind of diametrically opposed sides. So it's an exciting thing to watch these people who are incredibly talented designers really kind of squaring off about whether to only use 3 fonts for all of your work or to use a different font for every single job and not have any restrictions. So it is this sort of order versus chaos that just keeps kind of coming together in the film. At a certain point, you can only talk about one typeface for so long. I think an 80-minute film that was just about Helvetica would be a very, very boring one to watch. So I wanted it to reflect the designers' individual personalities and their sense of humor, which I think everybody involved in the project is pretty funny just in their daily, they love what they do, and that comes out when you talk to them. People think that I edited it just so that they would be, the designers would look like they were comedians or something. But they are all naturally kind of, humorous people. Again, I think they're passionate about what they do. All graphic designers know the difference between a serif and a sans serif typeface. But when you have Matthew Carter telling you what the difference is and showing you on screen, well, then that's interesting, I think. And it also is educational for people who don't know that much about type and about graphic design. So throughout the film, we kind of tried to stay close to that middle line. It's not just for hardcore designers, but it's not completely for neophytes either. It's somewhere kind of in the middle. And a lot of people who have seen the film afterwards have come up and said, now I can show this to my mother and she'll understand what I do now, thank you. Come on, it's got to be the most common art form that we experience every day. I mean, we see thousands of words all day long, and I don't think anyone thinks about the typefaces that those words are in, or that there are people who made those typefaces and designers who decided to use those typefaces in this certain situation. So I think, I'm interested in those kind of things that are invisible until you really someone points them out to you, and then after that you're like, oh my God, how did I not see, how did I not notice this before? And I think that that's one of the things I think the film has done to people who don't normally think about the type in their environment, is to kind of change how they look at the world, which I think is a pretty cool thing. For me, the music is a huge factor. Like, my background is in music, and when I kind of had the idea for the film, I already could hear the whole film in my head before I'd even started shooting it. Like, I knew exactly what the soundtrack was going to sound like. I didn't know exactly which artists or which songs, but I had like just a feeling for what the music was going to be, and I think it's like the glue that fits, that binds all these pieces of the film together. You can have two completely different scenes or time frames or places, and with just a little bit of music, suddenly they seem like of course, it's a natural transition between this place and this. Documentaries especially get made in the editing room. It's how you structure that story that is going to either have people interested in it or walking out of the theater because they're bored. I mean, you could take the same story and cut by different editors, it would be that. It would be either a great documentary or completely boring. I still like it as a typeface. If you asked me to design a postcard right now, I'd probably use Helvetica, but I can't look at it. I can't look for it anymore. I've spent a year and a half, almost 2 years now, looking for Helvetica, like on signs or buildings or whatever, and that's, after you do that for 2 years, you can't stop. It's just unconscious now, so I need to turn that off. So stop. Stop.